All right, guys, welcome to Wide Awake News Radio. I am Charlie MaGrath. I will be playing the role of your host tonight on this 24th day of June, Monday. Unfortunately, Kirsten Megan could not make it tonight. She got called away for work duty, and I, along with Gary Hendershot, who's back from some of his trials and tribulations of the last month, will be hosting and taking you through a lot of information tonight. So if you're listening and not in our chat room, or if you want to watch us do this live on Justin TV, you can go to wideawakenews.com, click on the microphone on the right-hand side, and that will take you into the chat room. And you can also access the JTV feed there, which looks kind of cool because Gary's doing his fancy high-dollar computer equipment trick to the video. I shouldn't call it a trick. His high-tech skills are being availed upon us tonight with his use of chroma key. So there's a background behind me, as there always is behind Gary. So get into the chat room, wideawakenews.com. If you have questions you want to call in with Brett, we'll take callers tonight. If you have anything you want to discuss with myself or Gary on the topics that we cover tonight, 877-342-6673. And again, both of us are right now in the chat room. So if you want to join us there, you can join us there. Look. I just got off a plane at 5 o'clock West or Mountain Time. As soon as I got off the plane, RT sent me a request to do an interview about their ongoing coverage of Where's Waldo, or in this case, it's Where's Snoden. So I jumped into the office, did that, and then found out I was going to be hosting for you guys tonight. But the topics I want to cover, and Gary, I mean, we can go any direction you want. I want to hear about what you've been up to as well. But certainly are the NSA, the security industrial complex, the military industrial complex, what they're doing to make sure that you are surveilled from the second that you turn on your computer, your television, your phone, you name it, any electronic technology, and even just on your day-to-day lives through a never-ending series of cameras that that seem to be springing up at a very ferocious pace. The interview tonight, the reason I called it Where's Waldo, is because, in a way, this is what Assange has turned into. This is what Snoden has turned into. Manning, unfortunately, is the only one that wasn't able to find some kind of a safe haven. But the media in general, and even some independent media, is turning this into a where the heck is he at now? Where is the whistleblower? Where is this individual that's becoming a target by the security industrial complex? And it doesn't matter if it's Assange or Snoden or Manning or whoever, anybody that is daring to speak out as a whistleblower. The story isn't them. And we got to reiterate this, and we got to drive this home. Which I tried to do tonight, and others that are coming on there saying the same thing. It isn't where Snowden. It doesn't matter if he's in China, Russia, Cuba, Ecuador. What is truly at stake here is the freedom of the people that we love, the freedom of the people of this country, the freedom of the people of the planet, in fact. This is the story. The information is the story. I hope and pray Snowden is able to find a final destination that he can arrive to standing and breathing. But at the end of the day, we cannot distract ourselves from the information that he has put out there. And for all the people in Washington, D.C., for all the congressmen and turncoat congressmen and senators and politicians that want to get on and talk about how this is public enemy number one, and talk about his location and these nations that are betraying the United States because they're housing him. Look, they're doing exactly what the agenda prescribes them to do, which is bait and switch, to get you thinking about the individual rather than the information. And to think for 1 second, as a lot of them are saying, that this information is erroneous, it's not interpreted correctly, and it's not important, he's just a traitor and he needs to be brought to justice. Look, you have to be blind not to see that Washington, D.C., and these power brokers are absolutely freaking out
because of the information that has been let out. In fact, it was nice to see Mozilla if you use them for your search engine or if you use them for your browser. They have stop watching .us, an advertisement banner for them up there right now. And it's nice to see 500,000 people have signed the petition to Washington, D.C. To investigate and expose this breach of privacy. It's great to see 500,000. It needs to be a whole lot more than that. It's shocking to sit here and watch this unfold and develop and see so many people concerned about the individual. Will it be Iceland? Will it be Ecuador? Will it be Cuba? Who cares? Who cares? Like I said, I wish him the best and hope he can get to wherever his final destination is alive. But we need to be outraged at the information that has already come forth. We don't need any more. We don't need any more revelations. We know it's a culmination of years and years and years of legislation that has pushed freedom out the back door and put the police state in front of our face. Gary Hendershot, welcome back. A. B, you would probably like to debate me at some point that we've been down this road before. You marched in the 70s, and I don't know if I want to say any earlier than that, but the police state could have been argued then, but right now, man, we're at a time in technology and a time in surveillance that I will argue with you until the close of the show tonight is not been matched throughout history and not being done at the level it has, or that is being done right now throughout history. There is a full-on assault on privacy in the name of a fanciful, fictitious war on terror that can go on forever. In your back in your day, right, things were a little bit different. Gary, let me get you on here before we cut out. Welcome back.
Well, I tell you, it's kind of funny you should mention that, but there was this thing back in the 90s called carnivore. Remember that?
I do.
And there was all kinds of reports about how, the Australians were spying on the Americans and giving the Americans the information in the back door, and the Americans were spying on the Australians and giving the Australian government the stuff out the back door. So neither one of these countries is allowed to directly spy on their people. But
that used to be the way.
If you can get it from a third party, see, that's considered fair. So you make a deal with another government so that they do the spying on your people, you do the spying on theirs, and then it's a swapsies deal. It was a great deal. But this is nothing new. This spying on people. Now, it goes back to the late 90s, just after the internet, but even before that, there was, unauthorized wiretaps and opening people's mail and all kinds of stuff like that going on. So, it's real hard for me to put this even in the top 10. I'm looking at this thing saying, boy, it's a whole lot of nonsense over something that's been well known. It's been going on for a long, long time, and everybody's hyperventilating about it like it's all brand new. This stuff's been going on for decades. Richard Nixon, that was one of the things they hauled him up on, was having people's tax records and spying on them using the FBI. This is old stuff.
Well, I won't debate that government has spied on people, citizens illegally. But I'm going to tell you right now, you can throw Richard Nixon in my face. You can throw anything since the inception of the United States, of this country, till right now. And you've never had the perfect storm of technology and an excuse that we have right now, this built-in 9/11 war on terror excuse and legislation to not do it illegally, right? This is the big difference. Richard Nixon, one of the things they brought him up on, they hauled him to the post on, was his spying on people of this nation. But it ain't illegal anymore, brother. It's status quo. We're fighting a war on terror. Don't you know that? This metadata that they're building out multi-billion-dollar fusion centers, they're not doing this illegally. They're doing this under the cover of legality. And this is what's terrifying to me, is everybody's information, everybody's, not just the political dissident like yourself or me or the folks in chat room right now. Everybody's data is potentially coming under scrutiny. We're going to be right back with more Wide Awake News Radio and Gary Hendershot in just a minute. Please hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie MaGrath, Gary Hendershot, 24th day Monday, 24th day of June, rather, Monday. Gary, by the way, we are live for the first time in June on Justin TV because Gary is Slappy84 in chat says Big Sis will be watching. You're 100% right. Big Sis, not will be, is. Trust me. Everything that we're saying, everybody in the chat, everybody that thinks that they're somehow avoiding scrutiny. Gary, I just can't believe that anymore. I don't believe it. And you were saying during the break, those of you on Justin TV heard us, you did say that this has been going on for years. And I would agree that, there's been tyrannical forces at work in government since the inception of government, period, on this planet. But I think the volume, the capacity, and the will to legalize and subject everybody to this nonstop security nonsense has never been seen in the history of this country. Even going back to when they forced miners to mine copper in World War I, so that have the resources for their military-industrial complex, or even when they threw Japanese Americans into internment camps during World War II. We're surpassing it all, brother, all of it.
Well, Charlie, the only real difference is today in this information society and this technological marvel of a world that we have inherited, we make it easy for them. We post our itinerary on Facebook. We share everything with all of our friends, and we have relationships with people on the internet that we never sit down and have coffee with. We never have a beer with them. We never go out to a ball game with them. We never talk privately with our friends anymore. All of our human interaction is now conducted in a medium that lends itself very handily to snooping. It used to be you'd have to, plant a bug somewhere in the Italian restaurant if you wanted to hear what Guido and the Sarducci was doing. We don't want to. I almost got off on a tirade there, but I'll keep it under wraps. But you used to have to bug their restaurants, bug their hangouts, and of course that was going on illegally. There was an awful lot of illegal wiretapping going on way back when. The only thing that's really, really different today is that we are our own worst enemy. We post our material everywhere.
Yeah. Right.
We make it easy for them.
What difference does that make, though? So what? Easy or not easy? It's the same argument as if I'm not doing anything wrong, then I don't have to worry about a traffic cam, or I don't have to worry about surveillance. If I'm not doing anything wrong, then who cares? But it doesn't matter if I send you volumes information because I can. What matters is, do I have a reasonable expectation of not having my government spying on me, and the legitimization of that spying effort by a war on terror that we find out over and over and over again has been sold to the people of this country as under a pack of lies. I mean, so I'm not saying that we're not putting volumes of information out in text and tweets and YouTube videos and emails, but that doesn't mean we're asking for it, and it doesn't mean we should be surveilled to infinitum under phony pretenses.
Look, I'm being the devil's advocate here. I agree with you 100%. I mean, frankly, I would be embarrassed to accidentally see somebody else's private communications. I mean, I'm just that kind of person. If I inadvertently saw somebody's private communication, I'd go, oops, and I'd close my eyes. I wouldn't look at it because I'm not a nosy person by nature, and I figure people are entitled to pursue their own business without snoops and interference. And I think most people just assume that, they're entitled to a certain amount of privacy in the way they conduct their affairs, and that average people would not be busybodies, would not be so damn nosy that they'd care to know about it. But, information is
we look like brothers,
power.
By the way.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like we're sitting down at the same bar stool. I could put us in Guido's place. No, a little Chianti, a little spaghetti.
No, but, I'm looking at the feed here from your handiwork, and it looks like we're members of some cult.
We are, we're
the truth cult.
Yeah, we're members of what they're calling them their truthers, which I think that entitles us to 3 hots and a cot in Guantanamo the way things are going. Bottom line is, there are so many other issues that we should be looking at. There are so many other issues that really should have people out in the street. I mean, where is the anger? Where are the American people? Where are the people who marched during the Vietnam War? Where are the people who marched when the black man was told he had to ride in the back of the bus? Where are those people today? I gotta figure they're boozed out on beer, sitting on the couch watching a football game. I mean, where the hell are they? There are so many issues available that certainly anybody with half a grain of sense could find one that really, really, really pissed them off enough to get them out on the street. Where are they?
Man, I don't know. I know 500,000 signed on with this petition on Mozilla, but it's a nation of 310 million. I don't know, man. I don't know where they're at, and it's a discussion I had with my girlfriend over the weekend, right? And the talk was, just a conversation about where this all leads. I mean, does it lead to a police state? Does it lead to revolution? What? And it's my stance was pretty simple. As long as you have 500 channels, information, propaganda coming across the airwaves, and as long as you have infotainment nonstop, even if you're plugged into the news, right? Even if you're plugged into trying to stay informed, as long as you have a vested special interest delivering that information, and I'll continue this after the break. I'm going to continue it with as long as everything stays normal. The lights are on, the beer is cold, and I'll pick it up with that when we come back. We'll be back with Gary Hendershot, more Wide Awake News Radio. Please hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie MaGrath joined by Gary Hendershot, I think. He had to go refresh his beverage, and I think we got him back. But if not, I'll drive on. We have about 55 people in the chat room. If you want to join them, wideawakenews.com. Click on the radio microphone. That will lead you into chat. I right now am personally monitoring chat, and I can see that Cookie is back in the chat. I haven't seen Cookie for a little bit. I know she's there all the time. She just asked me, how's Bonnie? Bonnie's doing great. She's out. She'll be in, I'm sure, before the end of the program in the chat. Again, if you want to join them in chat, wideawakenews.com, click on the microphone, take you into chat. I want to share this email I just got from somebody in Germany, and I thought it was really great. They say they listen to the program all the time, watch YouTube videos, so and this is nice to get these. Hello, I hope Charlie can read this. My name is Chris, 33 years old, wife and baby girl, coming from Germany and regularly watch a YouTube channel. Many thanks for that. It shows me not all Americans went crazy. You're seeding hope in me. I would like to know so much more about what is going on in the U.S. Still ghost towns growing? Is there no powerful person fighting for constitutional law? Why do patriots not defend their great constitutions? To me, this is very nice. You're my hero. Maybe all people who feel their God-given conscience and act in accordance with it are heroes like Snoden. If I can do anything for you, I will support you. And very, very nice, heartfelt comments by Chris. Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. And Gary, are you back with me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was sorry. I didn't realize I'd missed the cue.
No problem.
That's what I get for taking time off. I get slow on my button pushing.
You're all rusty.
Yeah, I know.
Let me, I'm going to answer his first question. Are ghost towns still growing? Gary, you're in the South. You're in Virginia type area there, fairly close to D.C., at least as far as my proximity is concerned. I'm out here in the West, Rocky Mountain West, and look, here's what's going on with ghost towns. With at least my take on the economy, and I had this conversation with a good friend today as well. The interest rates are nothing. They're almost free. If you have a home and you haven't refinanced it, I don't really know what you're waiting on. If you still if you still hold a mortgage on it, or the bank holds a mortgage on it, because they're doing everything possible in order to drive down or to keep interest rates down, to drive some growth in one of the major pillars of the economy, which is housing. Now, that being said, to an extent, it's working, right? We're seeing, at least out here in the Rocky Mountain West, we're seeing a big build out, very, very cheap money, a lot of refinances going on, prices starting to increase again. So the realization is this balloon is being inflated once again. But my take, following commodities, especially in the building industry, is that there is this perception of demand without the follow-through. And what I mean by that is if you follow commodity pricing and building materials at all, you see that they are falling literally through the floor, unlike that I've ever seen. With over 20 years in this business, unlike anything I've ever seen, and people with 40 years in this business are saying the exact same thing. There's this contrived demand because of interest rates and manipulation of the economy from a central government, central planning, but the follow-through isn't there. And when you are selling materials, it is at a bargain basement, closeout type numbers, at least when it comes to building materials such as lumber. Now, I truly believe that this effort is absolutely 100% central planning, period. In fact, look at what happens on the last couple sessions when Bernanke, when it doesn't matter on good paying jobs, it doesn't matter on growth in an area, it doesn't matter on these factors that we used to look at to determine where the economy is going. Everything is government. Government. If they decide for 1 second, or quasi-government agencies, privately owned agencies that masquerade around as government agencies, such as the Federal Reserve, if they come out for 1 second, Gary, and say that this punch bowl might be pulled away, that the moral hazard would be taken away, guess what happens? 350 points down, 200 points down. We need to realize that the growth that we see now, and this is why I've been saying for the last couple months, if you have an opportunity to earn, to put yourself in a better position for tomorrow, that is what you need to be doing right now. Because this game, just like we saw in 2007 and 8, will come to an end, but it's going to be far, far, far worse. Gary, this is a conversation you and I have had outside of this radio program, and I think we're kind of locking step here, and we can certainly get into the IRS that I know you wanted to get into as well. But I wanted to answer, Chris sent such a nice email, I wanted to answer his question. Are ghost towns growing out? I think that there still is in the Midwest, without a doubt. There still is pockets of very well. Look at some stats: 50 million people on food stamps, over 50 million in the way of poverty. And if it isn't for some kind of government assistance in one form or another, we are in obvious depression. Gary,
depression. Well, it's a depression when you're out of work. Now, as long as you're working, it's just a recession.
That's right.
When your neighbor's out of work, it's a recession. When you're out of work, it's depression.
That's right.
Now,
I'm in work, and it's still a depression.
Where I live, it's hard to say. I mean, it's spotty. It depends on what segment you're in. I can tell you that a lot of the little mom and pops shops are gone. There's a lot of empty space in the strip malls, and the one big regional covered mall that's within close proximity to me, they decided they were going to just renovate it and turn it into like a town center. So bottom line is they couldn't rent it, so they're tearing it down. They're going to turn it into like a one of these town center type arrangements with a bunch of little boutique type malls, and then
right.
Of course your big draw stores that draw the people in. They'll still be there, your Macy's and that kind of operations.
Yeah.
But it really depends on what segment you're in. Now, living just outside of Washington D.C., we still have significant business activity here because so much of the business in our area is dependent on government.
Government
being
not dependent?
Government. They may not be directly affiliated with the government. They may not do business directly with the government, but maybe they do business with people who work for the government. They do, I'm
being cynical.
It's like the hotel. I mean, does the hotel work for the government? But
yes.
When all the IRS come in and hire hookers and buy booze, a lot of the liquor stores, a lot of the hookers, and a lot of them hotels make a lot of money.
That's my point to Chris and my point to you, and it's being very cynical when I answer your question, does that hotel work for the government? Yes, Yes, that hotel, my job, anybody listening to me now that is getting a paycheck right now, in an effect, you work for the government. And more importantly, you work, and more accurately, for the Federal Reserve. Not because you're carrying around fiat dollars or some, yellow brick road theory, because the second that they decide that $80 billion a month worth of buying debt is going to come to an end, your economy comes to an end. And I think, just like the destruction of small business and entrepreneurial spirit and the upward integration of all these businesses into larger and larger corporations, I think that is by design. It's ultimate control. So if somebody asks me a question, do they work for the government? Yeah, you do, because it is central planning at its worst, was what I think we see right now, Gary. Am I wrong?
If it was totally central planning like they had in Russia, you'd have one manufacturer producing right shoes and one manufacturer producing left, and the guys doing right shoes would be doing wingtips, and the guys doing left would be doing loafers. And,
that's why they
now that is true central planning. Now I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're getting scary close to it. We're getting scary close to it. Now that, even our manufacturing tends to be, it used to be manufacturing was consumer driven. If you had a whole bunch of people standing up there with money in their hands saying, I need a new color TV, I need a new refrigerator, somebody was going to make it because, there was a buying public out there wanting to buy. Well, now your big customer is the government. So what are people making? Well, they're making bombs, and they're making tanks, and they're making guns, and because that seems to be what the government's spending all of our money on.
That's a great segue too, and I know we have a break coming up here, but we have Richard from Washington. I want to try to get him in before this break. Richard, thank you very much for calling in. What is on your mind, sir?
Yeah, I just, based on all the conversation you've had back and forth, want to ask the question of how long have you been a slave? The best slave is one who thinks he's free. If you go back in history, how long have people been slaves and been thinking they were free?
It's a great question. And I guess depends on your definition and your perception of when our constitutional republic was replaced by something different. But
I want you to go further back to then. These people that control us actually started the system by labeling it zero.
1872 marks the date as far as...
I think Richard's going to go back further than that.
He can. There's arguments for it, but I know we got a break, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
All right, we'll be right back with more Wide Awake News Radio, and Richard from Washington will give you the floor when we come back. Hang tight. All right, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie MaGrath, joined by Gary Hendershot. His new program will start Monday. It'll be every Monday, 6 o'clock West, 9 o'clock East, and continuing on forward. He's also going to continue doing his Thursday night Smart Scarecrow program that you can watch through Justin TV. And we also have Richard on hold from Washington as well. Richard, I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'm going to shut up and let you talk. Give us your synopsis on when slavery began, and then I got to jump to some other topics. So you have the next minute, brother. Go.
I finally found the one part of the puzzle that I had never found and put it all together. The name of the book is called Caesar's Messiah by Joseph Atwell. Basically, the creation of religion was the first psyop. That's why they started labeling the time promotion as at zero, and we've been on that time promotion ever since. That was the creation of the three religions, Rabbinic Jewry and Catholic Christian and Islam Buddhism. But my search was, how did all these things come about? And I couldn't find it out. Well, Atwell describes it completely. Basically, this was the first psyop. Flavius Josephus wrote the Wars of the Jews and the Jewish Antiquities and the New Testament. And the reason he wrote the New Testament, he couldn't get the Judeans to worship the Caesars as God. So he created this character, Jesus, and they worshipped Jesus as God, the Abrahamic God, but he was actually Titus. So an end run on how to get people to worship Caesar without worshiping Caesar. Excellent satirical presentation, and it caught everybody by surprise. And the question you ask yourself is, why do you worship the Bible? It was a small Abrahamic religion for a small group of people, but we consider that the world's Bible now, God, the Word of God. And why, if we're worshiping that small book, do we consider that we are part of that small book because we're not Judeans. So when you find out the whole PSYOP, all this makes sense. They've been programming us and controlling
Richard, give us the title. Give us the title of the book that you're referring to again.
Caesar's Messiah by Joseph Atwill, Atwill.
You know,
Richard,
terrible.
I greatly appreciate you sharing your information. And,
terrible thing is that's the topic for a whole damn 4-hour presentation. You know, there's no way
more than a minute for sure.
Yeah, it would take definitely more. You know, to a certain degree,
you, Richard.
I agree with him. Although I'd take it back a little further than what he did. That's because it was going on during Hammurabi's time.
Thank you for the call. I'm gonna jump on to a topic that I wanted to cover. I did a video on earlier in the week, and it's fraud, waste, and abuse. And Gary, I don't even remember the segue now at this point because now I'm thinking about this book in the last minutes worth of
guns, bombs, bullets, and that's where all our money's going. And take it away, Charlie.
Thanks for bringing me back up to where I was. Smedley Butler, right? He called it what it is. War is a profit center. Period. End of story. In the midst of all the scandal, like you pointed out to me, or you were pointing out to me before the program, where do you take it? You know, what avenue do you go down? Because every time you look, there's something new that more and more people should be highly inflamed over. But one thing that fell to the wayside rather, is the outrageous destruction of wealth. I guess I don't even, the destruction of wealth inside of Afghanistan right now, as we get ready to exit Afghanistan after over a decade of prosecuting a war on terror. We're going to leave 20% of our inventory lying in the dirt. $7 billion worth of equipment is being destroyed in place. And of course, the story that's being given, the official story, is it's too expensive to haul this around the world. When asked why they can't leave it to the Afghans, aren't these isn't Karzai and the Afghan government allies on the war on terror? Well, the truth comes out after a decade-long exposure to occupation. There's not a lot of friends left in these nations that we occupy, so they don't want to leave this equipment.
Yeah, I wonder why. You go in, you blow a bunch of people up, you totally decimate their infrastructure, and you kill a bunch of people. You rape their women, kill their children. And they're not our friends now? I mean, gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, no doubt. And we see the same thing in Iraq, rather, another car bomb there today, a nation of complete and utter violence, right? People kill, sectarian violence, civil war, Shiite, Sunni, more death and destruction there than arguably in far more arguably than before we arrived. But one of the things that they're, to point out for those that would say, well, they're just leaving old, worn out equipment there. Look, 11,000 MRAPs. These are these $1 million a copy bomb-resistant vehicles that are rolling around Afghanistan and the world. In our total inventory, it's over 25,000. But we, the people, own in Afghanistan 11,000 of these vehicles. Now, for some reason, 2,000 of them, it makes more sense to chop these up into little bitty pieces, not using any kind of American contractors to come over there and use the high-tech plasma cutting torches, because they can't do it with regular torches because they're $1 million a piece. That money was spent on up-armoring these things, so a regular cutting torch wouldn't work, ergo it won't blow up with a bomb either. So we're bringing in help from Nepal to cut these things up, shove the pieces into shipping containers that, oh, by the way, the American taxpayer own, and they just don't see fit to bring those back as well. They're cutting up 2,000 of these things, 2,000 of them at $1 million.
But Charlie, you've missed the punchline.
Okay, go.
Kellogg, Brown, and Root got the contract, and rather than hiring American help to come over there and cut those bad boys up, they found it cheaper to outsource it to India and Nepal. But Kellogg, Brown, and Root got their piece of the action, man. So,
and that ain't it. They're not done.
Times are good. If you're working, if you're a big shot with Kellogg, Brown, and Root, you will get a bonus.
No doubt about it. And to answer Chris's question, are Ghost Town popping up? Yeah, but we don't talk about them. We talk about the successes in the military-industrial complex. In fact, one official, in talking about this, I have the story right here, so I'm going to read this to you. Scrapping equipment key to Afghanistan drawdown. One official says, as they have debated, how much excess equipment to shred or sell, officials have considered whether to look at this. The defense industry would suffer if the Pentagon unloaded tons of used equipment on the market at vastly reduced prices. So that one sentence, I'm showing this now, in this whole article, highlighted there, the one sentence is truly the one buried in the story that Gary, I think drives the motivation for leaving $7 billion in the dirt, because you don't want to screw up the business of the folks who put you in political power. So, the company that you speak of that makes these MRAPs, they're going to have a windfall, because guess what? These 2,000 vehicles, are they just going to stop the war on terror? We're not going to need 25,000. Now we only need 23,000.
Yeah, keep
or
dreaming.
Are we going to continue to expand? Go ahead.
Keep dreaming. Now, the war on terror will go on for our lifetime and probably our children's lifetime. Who would ever kill the goose that laid the golden egg? I mean, this war on terror thing, this is better than the war on poverty. This is better than the war on drugs. This is just a tremendous profit maker for, that horrible circular train of money that goes from Wall Street to the bomb makers to the bomb receivers and back to Wall Street again. It's just I compare it to the British mercantilism days with their opium wars. For crying out loud, we are still engaged in British mercantilism.
And a nation that's $16.8 billion in debt. When's the last time you heard of debt?
That debt is irrelevant, Charlie. We of course, we've argued that one over and over and over again. It's absolutely
not relevant to me and you, man.
It's just digits on a computer,
Yeah.
That money never existed. It don't exist today. It's just the way they keep score. It's like going to the football game, and it's just the digits that come up on the scoreboard. It means nothing.
It means nothing until you have to write a check to the IRS. It means nothing until you realize that $2 trillion a year doesn't go to pay off national debt, but interest on that national debt. So I agree with you.
It's just your vig to the mob. If you don't pay it, Guido's going to come by and break your legs. So, it's just the vig you pay the mob.
It's all Guido with you.
We're being run by a bunch of criminal gangs. And we got,
Guido would do a better job, man.
We got Guido Obama running the show today. He's part of the Chicago mob. Okay, the Chicago mob won this time. The Arkansas mob, won not too long ago. And, it's just a bunch of gang families, We got, Guido Obama in charge this week.
So, and to couple that, right, if the debt's irrelevant, however, the 48 million people on food stamps, 50 million in poverty, 21 million unemployed, none of that's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
Well, just think, if there wasn't for all this welfare state that we've got in place at this point, we'd have soup lines, and that's downright depressing. You'd actually have people standing out in the street to get a crust of bread and a bowl of soup. Now they get their food stamps.
Exactly right.
So you never have to see them. You never have to be inconvenienced seeing all those poor people out there in the soup line.
The word is yet.
It's right? Tidy. It's nice and tidy.
The word is yet. And again, it takes me back to the conversation, and that's where I think I left off with the conversation I had with my girlfriend on, do you think how this ends, right? Do we have a great second American Revolution? And her take was no, because people just don't care, and it's hard to argue with that because people just don't care.
It only takes 5%. There are an angry 5% that do care.
More people are going to be angry when the hypothetical soup lines that you just spoke of become realistic and reality, right? When for the good of the nation, as Bernanke is alluding to now, and the markets freak out, no more purchasing can be made. And then we're all going to see how real debt loads are. And we're all going to see what happens when you let interest rates take their natural course, which is they want to explode higher. Gary, I think we're going to see a lot more than 5% ready for action.
I think there's more than 5% ready now. I think that the powers that be are on a very diligent quest to take out any potential leaders, anybody who might stand up and actually become a leader. This guy Snoden has a target on his back.
Yep.
That reporter whose car just mysteriously blew up as he was driving down the highway. These people have targets on their backs because they are potential leaders. They are the threats.
Truth is the enemy, Gary Hendershot. There's no doubt about it. Gary Hendershot, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I will be back tomorrow night at the regular time, 6 p.m. West, 9 p.m. East. Hope you can make it to the program. Great. Thanks for everybody. Great numbers in the chat room tonight. Thanks for everybody for participating. I greatly appreciate it. Gary's program will be back Monday. What's the name of it going to be, Gary? Wide Awake News with Gary Hendershot, Monday night edition?
Sure, why not?
All right. And, of course, he'll have the Smart Scarecrow program and his news rant, which I think you're repackaging the name on that as well. But I miss it, so I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you got your business handled, and I look forward to hearing you Thursday as well as next Monday. Gary, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Always a pleasure.
All right, stay tuned for Jeff Rentz because he is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow night at the same time. Have a good night. Peace.